Hello, welcome back to another episode of Things That I've Found, or Things That I'm Just Too Cheap to Throw Away. So, May was a pretty slim month, with thrift stores being closed and no one running any sort of garage sales or rummage sales. I was limited to containers that I had at home that I had finished and certain things I found around. I wasn't even going to do an episode for this month, but then thankfully today I discovered that a litter bug had left some nicely damaged IKEA furniture out in the world. So I was able to gather a whole bunch of hardware from that, and I think that's going to be just enough to fill up a couple of minutes here. So I'm just going to go through what I've got. I'll start with the things that I've saved that are sort of somewhat interesting. Got a Brita filter here. I don't know if you can eventually use this inner stuff for some kind of cool flocking, but mostly I'm interested in the detail of the top. It looks like it's a separate piece, but it's probably glued on, and I don't want to find out what happens if I pull it apart. We'll do that later. Okay, next I've got these little components that come from inside of a razor. They're just pretty cool, lots of little detail. These actually look like little robot claws or toes. I could definitely see some interesting use for those. And these come from the same razor. Just has a cool, looks like an I-beam sort of, or some sort of metal framework. This is not something that most epic gamers know about, but there's actually this product which you can apply, which helps with perspiration. I actually had to ask someone what it was, but the container that it comes in is pretty cool. As you can see, once it's fully disassembled and washed out, it's got this little grill thing, which looks like the back of like a turbine engine. It's pretty cool. Overall has a pretty cool shape too. Just the shape of this plastic. I have some ideas of how I could use that in a vehicle. This inner core piece is cool too. Just a lot of interesting detail along that. Got this larger one of the same type of product. Again, fairly unfamiliar with this type of thing. I don't see why you'd need to put anything on when you're just going to go into the basement of your local gaming store and sit around for 4 hours. But in any case, I traded a bag of Doritos for the sacred knowledge of what this is. A little bit less detailed in the bottom of this one, but the same sort of shaped plastic. And the twister part has a cool vent or grating in the bottom, as well as these interesting dimple pieces. Got a variety of lids. This is from dish detergent. Just a lot of cool little detail packed into there. Some lids are a little bit boring and don't have much to work with, but some, like this one with the hinge and different, I don't know the technical term, different rings or grades of height. Just has a lot more possibility when it comes to incorporating into a build. I like this little Octagon. These are nice because when you're doing a scratch build and you want to convert from a rounded, or a cylinder rather, when you want to convert from a cylinder to a flat surface, like when you're attaching the barrel of a weapon to an arm or to a vehicle. Very helpful little piece. Also just nice amount of detail on it. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to say detail a lot. I drink a certain amount of coffee, and from a variety of bags, I've got these little filters. They're all a little bit different. Again, very cool and useful for various things. This is actually the inside of an aluminum lid that was on a drink bottle. Pleasantly surprised to find it's got a cool little pattern on it. This was in the nozzle of the same drink. That could be a good ventilation fan or something like that. Contact lens solution, this cute travel bottle. Usually a plastic bottle would be too large to be of any useful scale, but this one is so stumpy and everything is, all the detail is crammed into such a small space. This could actually be appropriate in a scale model as a large fuel tank or something like that. This is a lid from a Parmesan shaker. I used one of these to make the engine on my Gargant, which I should just pull into frame because it's somewhere around here. Seems like a million years ago I built this thing. But there it is. Ta-da! Look at that. Look at that chonky boy. If you haven't seen me build it, go ahead and watch that video. It's something like 40 minutes long. I wasn't sure how to do editing back then. Something else I've been saving is drink tabs. I have a very interesting project in mind for these, but more on that later. This is just part of the haul, so. Let's move on to things I've found. So this was the busted top of a sprinkler system I found on the sidewalk. Really cool edge detail. I have no idea how to show it because it's black. Oh, there you go. You can see the little ridges. Pretty cool. This was inside of it, part of the sprinkler sprayer. Just a really cool grated piece. This would normally be remarkable, but it's the end of a coaxial cable. Instead of having a hexagon, it has these little spiky ridges in the twist-off grip. So that's kind of cool. I found this cute little flag with a heart. Mostly I'm interested in this grip part. You know, I could definitely have an industrial application. This is a strange find. It's like a little jungle base. No idea what it's from, or if I can even use it. Although it's a pretty good size and pre-textured base. Very expensive headphone covers for peasant headphones that have a cable. Just some rounded plastic. Okay, let's move into the hardware. Got these cool hinges. They just have a lot of interesting components. I saw somebody using door hinges like this as the legs of a robot. I think it was the Dark Power, but I'll have to look that up. If it was the Dark Power, definitely check them out. Check out his YouTube channel. Makes a lot of cool mechs and androids. Got these metal panels, which are just slightly more detailed than completely plain. They've got these ridges and holes. I actually took apart one of the hinges a little bit just based on what you could do with simple tools. Here's one of the bracket pieces, one of the individual claw things. I think this looks kind of like a claw or a foot. And each one has this super chonk screw in it. Very cool little piece. And then this little wire bracket. Got these patented IKEA thing in the middle bolts. They just are cool detail. I think they'd be really good as like a leg piston in a mech. Same with these, another classic IKEA piece of hardware. Probably also good used as the hip joint on a mech walker. I never realized this, but a lot of the IKEA hardware is this sort of chunky, these thick boy screws. It's kind of cool to use something that looks a little bit different than what you'd expect from a standard screw or bolt. It makes the illusion that it's a scale model of a real thing a little bit more convincing. So these are definitely cool. With these plastic feet, I'm calling them Dreadnought Toes. Look at that. Get the four of them together. Makes a perfect Dreadnought foot. Epic. Everyone should have thick pewter Dreadnoughts with cute toes. It's the greatest model ever produced by Games Workshop. Disc things. Metal panel things. Yeah, this is really sort of a thin month. Sorry. Once COVID is over, we can go back to garage sales and get tons of old toys. But for now, we're going to have to make do. So, if you're okay looking at junk components, but you'd probably rather see something like a cool model being made, you could definitely subscribe and use the bell icon. And that way, when a video that I put up, which is actually a project, comes out, you'll get a little notification. And that'll be cool because then you can watch it. Even though this, admittedly, this was pretty epic. There's nothing more entertaining than, you know, various rounded plastics. Oh, I didn't even show this. Look, it's this other rounded plastic thing. I can go over the whole principle of why this is interesting. You have a regular lid, which only has maybe one dimension of detail. We'll go with this lid here. The main piece of interest is just the rim has an interesting texture. The lid part's okay, but you'd have to brush off that brand name. And then the bottom has nothing. This piece is a little bit more interesting because it has big detail on the surface. Well, some detail on the surface. It's rounded at the edge, it's got side detail, and even the bottom has a form of detail. So this doesn't have to just be flush against a base like a regular lid might. It could be stood up as something. There's a lot of different ways you can apply it. So that's my basic principle of plastic cylinder acquisition. This ranks a little bit higher. This is like an A tier, like a B tier plastic cylinder. Okay, that's gonna be all. So goodbye, subscribe if you aren't. I don't know why you wouldn't be. And watching this video. I'm not saying that everyone should be subscribed. If you're watching this video, you could probably be a little bit more entertained by, you know, an actual project. So, okay, see you in June.